Greetings and welcome home, Natural Health Nation. And Catherine Foley, welcome to you as well.
Hi, good evening.
How are you?
Doing really good, thank you.
I hope you have wonderful plans for the upcoming holiday. Thanksgiving on the way.
I do. It's my favorite holiday. I love good food and good friends and good family.
Good answer. Well, you know, one of the things that we're going to talk about here tonight is, in a way, we're going to talk about the holiday because there's an awful lot of folks, of course, that are thinking about that holiday turkey and gravy, etc. And just recently, this past week, scientists from the Breast Cancer Fund actually did some research on food safety, and they looked at a couple different foods. In particular, they found that bisphenol A, the BPAs, of course, the very toxic BPAs, which I think, 4 years ago, there was a lot of talk in the news about the BPAs that were in the plastic drinking containers that so many people were really, really up in arms about.
Right, and one of the biggest things as far as awareness for BPAs was concerned was baby bottles.
Exactly right. So there's an awful lot of new awareness now about foods in BPAs because the epoxy glazes, the resin glazes, I should say, that are in the cans of a lot of different Thanksgiving food products were brought to the media attention this week. And again, scientists at the Breast Cancer Fund did some research and found that there were high levels of these very toxic BPAs in Campbell's cream of mushroom soup, in Campbell's turkey gravy, Carnation evaporated milk, Green Giant cut green beans, Libby's pumpkin, and Del Monte fresh sweet corn and cream corn as well. So these are all products that many folks have got on the shelves ready to go for Thursday.
Right.
And again, we need to kind of express the importance of really knowing that our food safety is at risk with these BPAs.
Right, and I think the more BPA information is coming out there, we're realizing how prevalent it is in our food system, and almost nearly everything that we eat or touch or use on us, shampoos, cosmetics, are packaged in plastics, and we have to be very, very conscious of how these plastics are handled with our food stuff in them. Whenever they're exposed to high amounts of heat, the BPAs get released much, much faster, microwaving them, all of that, those kind of actions. You have to remember that it is increasing the BPA concentration. Very
serious business when we're talking about BPAs, which are bisphenol A's. And when we talk about BPAs, we're talking about dramatically increased risks for breast and prostate cancer, among other things. And when you consider that 1 in 6 men in America can be expected to develop prostate cancer in their lifetime, 240,000 new cases every year of prostate cancer, and we're talking about 33,000 men who die from the disease. 1 in 8 women will develop breast cancer, 207,000 new cases every year, 41,000 deaths from breast cancer. So we're unfortunately up against some real serious numbers with both breast cancer and prostate cancer. And according to the research that has been accumulated in recent years, these BPAs are lead causal factors of great interest that we need to be very careful of. But we've got good news, of course. I think, we're always looking for to bring up the latest information here with regards to natural health, but we're always solutional as well here on the program. And, we want to increase our warnings about this BPA research that is very, very new on the horizon. Also, we want to make sure people really think seriously and long and hard about finally going organic.
Yes, absolutely. And, not only going organic, but thinking about your food preparation, buying foods that are fresh, cooking them fresh, making sure not to cook foods in plastic, microwaving foods inside of plastic if you can avoid that. Always try to use glass if you can. Glass water bottles, they have some wonderful options available out now to do that. So, not only eating organic, but just thinking about how you handle and prepare your food.
Well, and to your point, Dartmouth released a study fairly recently that showed that plastic wrap heated microwave products actually heated with vegetable oil were 500,000 times the maximum safe requirement of the xenoestrogens, which of course are breast cancer stimulants.
Right.
So 500,000 times the safe limit.
Right. It's absolutely, out there. One of the studies that I saw that was just an epidemiological survey looking at BPA prevalence is they, took urine of a large group of people, and they found out of that group of people, about 95% of the people had tested positive for results of BPA in their urine. So we all have it. Our bodies,
because we are surrounded by this.
Yeah, it is
It's in our shampoos. It's in our various skincare products. It's in a lot of these plastic containers.
Yeah.
And then if there's any degree of acidity within that container, it's going to leach a lot of that stuff out.
Right. And I think this is where, the point you started the show off with those Thanksgiving foods that, typically we find in the canned foods, the canned pumpkin, the canned corn, all of that stuff. It's that plastic lining inside of the can with the acids of the food that just make this chemical reaction happen.
Exactly. So we're talking about 6 foods specifically that are of great importance right now because of the season that we're in. But the researchers, again, scientific researchers from the Breast Cancer Fund, just this past week found that there were elevated levels, and we say elevated, the levels were 11 parts per billion, which are significantly higher than the allowable amount. And in Campbell's cream of mushroom soup, Campbell's turkey gravy, Carnation evaporated milk, Green Giant cut green beans, Libby's pumpkin, and Del Monte fresh cut sweet and cream corn. So these are foods that, of course, are again, in the cabinet right now, ready for action, of course. And folks really need to know that there are solutions here. I think from here to 4, as you bring up, and as I've often mentioned here on the program, go organic, think clean food. Preparations want to be as clean as possible. These are difference-making decisions, I think, that take place in the kitchen every day. And we've also going to talk about something else here. There is a solution from the nutritional supplement perspective as well. And we talk about things like indoles, for example, like broccoli and mustard greens and Brussels sprouts. These are very high in indoles that antagonize and really remove a lot of these toxic xenoestrogens like these bisphenols from the liver. Right. But even better than that, we've got a product from Jar Formulas that's actually very well developed with very specific research in mind. Yeah,
we have a product called Broco Max, and it's a broccoli seed extract, and it's made in a certain way to have a large amount of a compound called sulforaphane glucosinate. And
easy for you to say.
For short, we call this SGS or sulforaphanes.
Much better. SGS, I like that.
Right. But as we mentioned, your body has amazing capacity to do whatever it needs to do to keep itself safe.
Absolutely.
And there's 2 detox phases in your liver, phase 1 and phase 2 detox. And this is how your body manages these really nasty chemicals and gets them out and gets them, out of your body. But when our exposure is so high that those systems begin to be overtaxed.
Saturation levels.
Yes, we need things to help support them. And the Brocomax has the high levels of the sulforaphanes to help support phase 1 and phase 2 detox in the liver, to help get those things out of your body so that they don't stay there. If you can't get those compounds out of phase 1 and phase 2 detox in your liver,
from your liver, yeah,
they actually end up cycling back into the body and have a large propensity to settle in fatty tissue. And this is why we see a lot of the problems with BPAs being linked to prostate and breast cancer, is because those are typically cancers where there's a lot of fatty tissue around. So we tend to see a lot of those nasty chemicals get deposited in our fatty tissues.
So really important information to know that these researchers did indeed find the BPA concentrations in abnormally high, unacceptably high levels in the following Thanksgiving foods.
Right.
But as you point out, this stuff is really, unfortunately, it's everywhere you turn in our environment.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important for us to be thinking about cleaning our bodies, detoxing our bodies, cleaning out these livers with phase 1 and phase 2 support. And Brocomax is a great way to do that very thing.
Right.
And there's some great research we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about these and other issues with you here on the Natural Health Show. And in Boston and New England, 969. Verizon Wireless users free call pound 969 because we're going to take your calls regarding any natural health issue. We will be right back.
Now back to the Natural Health Show, sponsored by Good Health Natural Foods in Quincy and Hanover.
In Boston and New England, 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless users free call pound 969. I'm here with Catherine Foley from Jarrow Formulas, and we're looking to take your calls. Let's go to Kevin in Taunton. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talk Show on the Natural Health Show.
Hey, Mark. How are you doing today?
Terrific. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Hey, I remember one of your episodes you talked about quercetin.
Yes.
And I guess it was something about migraines.
Well, yeah, quercetin actually is a remarkable natural product that's generally obtained from yellow onions. And it's a natural antihistamine. Of course, folks know what antihistamines are, generally over the counter at the pharmacy for allergenic problems, inflammatory problems. But quercetin is a natural antioxidant product that is available in all the health food stores out there, generally 400 or 500 milligram capsules. And I usually recommend 3 to 4 of those a day on an empty stomach for the following. Headaches, especially if they're headaches associated with some form of allergenesis or any kind of allergenic symptoms, watery eyes, rhinitis, sinusitis, et cetera, et cetera. But great product.
Okay, cause the reason why I'm calling was because I bought the quercetin plus with bromelain.
Sure. Oh, yeah, okay.
And we looked online for helping with headaches, and we really didn't find anything.
No, well, you're not going to find those things entirely listed all the time. Also, a lot of these companies are restricted by the FDA in terms of what they can claim, what they can say, what they can't say. But we're going to tell you that when a problem is some kind of inflammatory allergic problem, you can basically sum up all those symptoms in your mind. You can imagine headaches, like we said, watery eyes, a lot of sneezing, rhinitis, sinusitis, etc. So you can actually put the headaches in that as well. But it's a natural anti-inflammatory. It's going to stop that inflammatory process, those COX-2 processes from expanding.
Okay, and just take it daily, or?
Yeah, I would do that. I would give it a good month or so and see how you feel at the end of a month. Also, the dietary part of it's really important. If you got headaches, be careful. I always talk about the COX-2 foods, those inflammatory foods that are problematic here with a lot of these kind of issues of headaches and whatnot. So things like red meats, dairy products. Be careful of egg yolks. The whites are fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just be careful about the inflammatory. Don't overeat the inflammatories. And you want to increase the anti-inflammatory, the prostaglandin 3 foods. You want to increase things like fatty fish, of course, soy products. Maybe you would increase your consumption of things like pumpkin seeds as a snack, soy nuts as a snack, soy nut butters in place of peanut butters, that kind of thing.
Okay. Well, it was my first time in the store. Was it the Natural Health Store?
Yep.
Over in Quincy, and it was a great store.
Hey, very nice.
So I
take
appreciate
good care.
everything you do.
Hey, thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.
Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, he brings up a great point, doesn't he? The folks at Good Health really deserve a kudo from time to time.
Oh, they do an amazing job, and just with their customer service.
Absolutely true.
They really care about each and every customer that comes in.
They work at it.
Yep.
Absolutely. Let's go to Adam in Watertown. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talk Show and the Natural Health Show.
Yes, hello.
How are you?
Good. I'm calling about a problem digesting red meat. Basically, my problem is, I have a pretty severe case of IBS, and red meat is probably my biggest trigger food. And I'm just wondering, I understand that I basically have to cut this out, but, is there any supplement or anything I could take to help digest that?
It's not just a matter of digesting something like that. It's a matter of, just like we talked about a minute ago, the inflammatory properties that come from these foods, especially if you have a prostaglandin 2 or a COX-2 food, an inflammatory food, that you don't digest very well. There's going to be a world of trouble that usually results there. So one of the things that I suggest, one of our sponsors, of course, is Alitest Medical Ads. I talk about them virtually every week, but for good reason. They've got great procedures and tests and whatnot to tap into your degree of sensitivity to a given food. So in other words, from 0 to 990, anything over 200 is inflammatory. So, some folks can say, okay, I've got a problem with red meat. You go in, you get tested, and you're a 201. Yeah, you got a problem with red meat, but nothing like the person who has a 990. So I think it really pays off to get a definitive roadmap in terms of just how specifically sensitive your body is to red meat. Because I tell you right now, if you're in the 800s or 900s, just don't eat it, period.
Yeah.
if you got a 220 or a 230, I'd say if you spent some time avoiding it, cutting down on it, and didn't eat it as frequently as maybe you do now, you'd be perfectly fine with it.
Okay.
Catherine has a statement. Hold on.
Oh, and Adam, also we just recently came out with a probiotic. The probiotic strain is called 299V, and the strain was studied and looked at for the symptoms of IBS.
Okay.
So it was extremely effective at decreasing inflammatory cytokines in the intestinal lining, increasing mucosal layer, and decreasing a lot of the symptoms of IBS. So the product is from Jarrow. It's called Jarrow, and the product is called IBS.
Right. I actually take a Jarrow probiotic right now, which helps a lot. I mean, it really has made one of the biggest differences along with my prescription I take. But
Adam, do you take the IBS specifically, though?
I can actually look at the exact thing I take. Hold on, I'll tell you.
And while you're doing that, Catherine and I can talk about the importance of differentiating these cultures, too, because one culture isn't going to do what the next culture is going to do.
Right. I take the Jarrow EPS.
Great. That, it's a very good overall probiotic. But what each one of these strains has different actions in your body. We choose them because of what they do very specifically. And the byproduct of their metabolism has a positive benefit on a certain aspect of health that we're looking for. And this strain that is in the IBS product, the Plantarum 299V, has the specific action for reducing the majority of the symptoms that are associated with IBS. So,
and it works exceptionally well, too. It really does.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll definitely look into that. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving, Adam. All right. Let's get back on to giving this lovely phone number out here, 617-8221-9069. Verizon Wireless users, free call pound 9069. Now, Catherine, just during that last break, we talked a little bit about the importance of really grasping this message, that there's going to be a lot of folks that really run these risks of putting food on the table this coming week that is profoundly toxic.
Yeah, and, we're going to run into it. It's there. The most important thing is now, let's just be aware of it and try to reduce our exposure. Mm-hmm. This is the most important thing. Reduce your exposure where you can. And, that's why, shows like yours are just so amazingly beneficial for the consumer out there, is just to get this education out there, because once someone is educated, then they can make the best decisions for themselves.
Absolutely. And I think that most of the information dissemination out there is really not to the advantage of the general public. Correct. Most of the information that's circulated, of course, is somewhat protective of the business world out there. Right. Yeah. And,
BPA and, phthalates is another group, but primarily BPA. These are xenoestrogens. So,
and what is to let the folks know, what is a because a lot of men out there don't know what a xenoestrogen is. They say, well, it's not going to bother me, but there's a little problem with that logic.
Yeah, a xenoestrogen mimics real estrogen in your body, and when you look at the biological hormones like estrogen and testosterone, what they are designed to do is to tell your body to grow. And so what we call exogenous xenoestrogens from our diet, you are increasing the overall amount of estrogens in your body, so you're telling your body to do things that it's not supposed to be doing naturally.
Absolutely. So therefore, I think we need to really pay close attention to this recent message that we're getting from scientists at the Breast Cancer Fund, that even though, yes, 1 in 8 women will develop breast cancer, 207,000 new cases a year, 41,000 deaths. And by the way, 85% of all breast cancer occurrences are with women with no family history.
Right.
85%. So there's an awful lot of exposures, clearly, that are at the detriment of women's health these days. But also men are not left out of this equation because of these xenoestrogens. And again, 1 in 6 men will develop prostate cancer, 240,000, 33,000 new cases, or 33,000 deaths per year, rather. So we're talking about specific studies that have clearly indicated that bisphenols increase the risks for both breast and prostate cancer. They are in our foods, and they're going to be in some of our Thanksgiving foods, as we pointed out.
Right. And, as you had mentioned, the xenoestrogens are, our body has a way to cleanse these and to detox them from our system. But because the exposure is so pervasive, it's everywhere, we do need some help and some support in getting rid of those BPAs in our system, and using things like sulforaphanes, broccoli, cruciferous vegetables, all of those things. Mustard greens.
Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, all of those green foods are really important to keep
the
in
ones
the diet.
that kids hate.
Yes, it's true.
And it's I think it's just so important also, to come back to what you talked about with regards to Brocco Max. I think that, you guys out there in Radioland, I mean, people like the folks at Jarrow Formulas are thinking about this problem for you. They're already developing products with the full knowledge of what's going on in your environment and in your body, and leaving you solutions based on really hard research that enable you an opportunity to really cleanse your body from these toxins. Tell them one more time about the Brocco Max.
The Brocco Max, the compound that we use, the SGS, sulforaphane glucosinolate, is the compound that was primarily studied at a lot of the Johns Hopkins University studies that were looking at broccoli and flax and all of these compounds on having a positive effect for breast cancer for women. So a lot of people do refer to the Johns Hopkins studies, and this compound is the one that was used in the study for particular reasons. It supports the two major detox pathways in the liver, and it's very important to have a compound that supports both of them in order to keep the balance healthy and supporting phase 1 and phase 2 detox. Phase 1 detox is primarily where we get rid of a lot of our water-soluble compounds. Yes. Phase 2 detox is where we tend to get rid of a lot of those really nasty chemicals, the aromatic amines, the petroleum-based compounds, all of those things. Like
the killers. The
killers. And so getting those out of the body is very important. And using compounds to help support that is critical because of our exposure levels.
And compounds from foods can help do that, and that's what Brocco Max obviously is one example of a great product that actually is extracted from broccoli, and it's basically an antioxidant called sulforaphane. Been studied repeatedly in recent years with regard to its ability to help us to detoxify those agents that increase risks for breast cancer. And in this case, I might also add prostate cancer as well.
Right, absolutely. And, we're talking about the Thanksgiving foods today because we're coming up on Thanksgiving and we want to keep our friends and family safe. But it's also important to make, people aware. It's really, really popular now for everybody to be walking around with plastic water bottles and drinking water that way, and just to be conscious of that is plastic, and you just never know what temperatures it's exposed to. Even if you buy it cold, it could have been exposed to high temperatures, and that's when we start to leach out the BPA from our plastics.
And lest we forget, we're interested also in your questions, and we're going to come back with your calls. We see some folks on the board, and if you're thinking about asking a question regarding natural health issues, please feel free to do so. 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless users free call pound 969. My name is Mark Mincole. I'm with Catherine Foley. You're listening to The Natural Health Show. We'll be right into The Natural Health Show. We'll be right into The Natural.
Now back to The Natural Health Show, sponsored by Good Health Natural Foods in Quincy and Hanover.
In Boston and New England is 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless lucky guys and gals. Free call pound 969. And we're going to get to your calls in just a minute. We've got a little bit of news here. I have a new book coming out, Catherine. I think you know that already.
Oh, my God, you're always busy.
And the book is entitled Customized Healing. So I couldn't think of a new message that'd be more fun to announce than that. And that's going to be out in about 4 weeks, toward just around the Christmas time, I guess, a little bit after that. So it's really going to be set up for push the first of the year 2012, but it's going to be available. Folks can actually order Customized Healing Amazon.com already.
Wow.
So it's pre-order stuff, a lot of pre-orders coming in. So if you want to make a note of that, grab those pens and pencils. Customized Healing.
And they can probably find more info on your website.
Yeah, and the website is www.maxhealing.com. It's just one word, maxhealing.com. And we're actually moving to another radio station, too.
Yeah.
So we've had a remarkable run here at 96.9, and the folks at 96.9 here have been really remarkable. Great folks to be with. But, change is part of life.
Yes.
So we'd like to let everybody know that we're going to be moving on to a different number on the dial.
Yes.
So folks might want to check that out on our website as well. It's going to be, again, at maxhealing.com. And I'll be on Fox 25 Thursday.
Oh, my goodness.
Thanksgiving Day. Yes, you guessed it.
You're on Thanksgiving Day?
On Thanksgiving morning at 8:50 in the morning.
Oh, well, I'll be watching because I'll have the turkey in very early.
With no bisphenols in the kitchen, right?
0.
Hey, let's get to some of these calls. Let's get to Mike in Boston. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talk. You're in the Natural Health Show.
Oh, thank you so much. Big fan of the show. Just started listening to a couple weeks ago.
Oh, thanks.
But actually, you guys touched on it a little bit with the Brocomax. I'm actually, I'm still young. I'm only 26. Healthy, lifestyle, things like that. I was wondering if there's any good ways to, and like I said, you guys kind of touched on it with the Brocomax, just looking for like a healthy cleanse.
Yeah, I think Catherine really, a lot of the John Hopkins research that she's got here in front of her, a lot of great information that does indeed indicate that the Brocomax is, with the sulforaphane in the form that it's formulated in, is a real good phase 1, phase 2 detox, pulling a lot of this poison out, and that's the real kernel of the message this evening, is that there are great solutions, and the Brocomax is a good one.
Yeah, and Mike, a lot of people, when they think about doing a cleanse, they kind of think about doing like an intestinal cleanse and, this and that. But, that is great. But I really suggest, maybe just going full force into like a really great vegetarian or vegan diet for like a month or something. And that is a wonderful cleanse for your body.
That's really true, I think
Sure.
Yeah.
the idea of just kind of pulling some of the exceedingly high fats out, increasing your fiber, increasing the amount of water in your food with fruits and vegetables and all that.
Yeah, and then when we look at what are the major things that we want to detox, we want to majorly detox those bad compounds like we've been talking about, the ones that BPAs, the phthalates, the aromatic amines, these really nasty ones. And the Brocomax really supports that. But then another one to look at too is, anything that supports heavy metal detox.
Oh, okay.
So cleansing, people do look sometimes at those intestinal kind of things, but I really support just maybe doing like committing to a whole month of a very clean vegetarian or vegan diet, but then adding in your biochemical cleansing agents like your Brocomax and heavy metal cleansing, agents on there, and you'll be in really great shape.
Yeah, and by the way, cilantro is one of those really great toxic metals.
Oh, no kidding.
Cilantro is a really fun way to pull toxic metal out.
In seaweeds too.
Because of the alginic acid, of course.
The alginates.
No kidding. And where can you buy the Brocomax? Is that something you can get off the site or in the stores?
You can get it at Good Health Natural Foods in Quincy and Hanover.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. That sounds great. And great show. I'm enjoying listening to it. It's fun.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate your call.
Take care, guys.
Take care. All right, let's get to Ann from Littleton. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talks. You're on the Natural Health Show. Hello, Ann. Ann is apparently not on board with us. Let's go right on to Joan from Falmouth. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talks. You're on the Natural Health Show.
Hello.
Hello, Joan, are you there? Hello.
Yes, I am.
Go right ahead.
I listen to you all the time, and I do take a lot of your advice on the vitamins. But now I got scared because they came out with that report about how they chased 40,000 women for 19 years and found that vitamins, we live 2% shorter than the people who don't take them. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think, first of all, when you look at flawed studies, you're bound to get flawed results. Yeah. And there's a lot of, my dad used to say, figures don't lie, but liars figure.
Oh, God, I'm glad you said that.
Well, listen, there's a study called the HOPE-2 study, for example. The HOPE-2 study was a very touted study for years for the media about how things like vitamin A and vitamin E were creating problems, and the folks who took vitamin E and vitamin A, of course, according to the HOPE-2 study, died younger, et cetera, et cetera. But when you really looked at the study, you find out that they were based on an aged population who are already diagnosed with one disease or more.
Oh, well, I'm 79, but I'm in excellent health. I don't take any medication.
Well, I can hear that in your voice. You sound.
Really?
You sound.
Well, I'm glad that you said that, and I'm glad that I called because I got a ton of vitamins sitting in the cabinet there that I was really spooked about taking because that really did scare me. And Dr. Timothy Johnson on Channel 5 is a big vitamin taker.
Yep.
But he said that study, he said that drives him crazy. But he said that he's going to stop taking the vitamins, not because of the study, but because he said there's no real hard evidence that they work. Is that true?
No, it's not true. There's countless studies, and we've mentioned them week in and week out on this broadcast. So, you can find, here's the deal. Bottom line of it is you can find virtually any information you want to prove on a given study. I think you're a living proof of subjective information. You're how old again?
79.
You're 79 years old. You sound great. You're obviously in great shape. You've taken good care of yourself. You eat well. You're living subjective proof, and to me that has to count for an awful lot of something.
Oh, thank you for saying that, because I was really scared. That's one thing about me. I am.
Well, and
you can scare me.
Now, let me conclude with one thing about the Hope 2 study. The Hope 2 study authors apologized for the poor design of their own study.
Oh.
So that just gives you a little bit of example of how things work.
Right.
Oh, good. Oh, thank you so much. I think your program's great, because I'm really very health conscious.
Well, thank you so much. We'll say hello to Catherine Foley.
Hi, Joan. You know, one of the things also that I like to share with people is that in other countries, in Germany and Japan, and the European Union, a lot of these supplements are regulated as pharmaceuticals, and so they do have very significant clinical backing to them, and doctors prescribe them. So, you know, we do a lot of business, you know, around the world. So, you know, there is a lot of resource to draw from, and there's a lot of literature and education out there.
I'd like to say one other thing, too. When you think about the term orthomolecular, it's a wonderful term. The Dr. Linus Pauling, the great Nobel Prize researcher, the man who did all the research on vitamin C, and again, a Nobel Prize scientist, coined the term orthomolecular, which basically alludes to the fact that our body is made of vitamins. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Vitamins aren't just those things in a container on the shelf. It's what you're comprised of. And orthomolecular means whenever you're missing any of these things, then you're missing very serious vital presentations in your body. So your body needs these vitamins, or they wouldn't be there to begin with. And when you're short on any of these agents, there are problems that occur. And what purchasing a supplement in the store it means to me is making up the difference.
Oh, God, thank you so much. I'm going to start putting my vitamins out again. Oh, my God. Oh, that's great. Okay. And to me, it doesn't make sense that people would support vitamin taking. You know, they got licenses they could lose if anything happened.
Of course.
But anyway, I'm going to start taking them again because I do love my good health.
Well, you can call my office anytime you have questions about vitamins. I'll be happy to answer for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joan.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right, let's get to Sandra from Revere. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talk. You're in the Natural Health Show.
Hi there. I just have a question because I love broccoli and beans, and it's just every time I eat it, I get, you know, right afterwards, I get bloated. Is there anything you can recommend? Because, you know, I want them to be part of my diet, but...
Yeah, go ahead, Catherine.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, sometimes our enzyme system is a little bit less efficient than we need it to be, and that is one of the indicators that it is the bloating that you get afterwards. So you know, I would try to add a dietary enzyme into your regimen after eating.
Yeah, I mean, I think Catherine's absolutely right. Bloating is usually indicative of fermentation, and fermentation is what arises whenever you don't digest a carbohydrate. Poor protein assimilation is more putrefaction, it's a little bit different. You get that bloating after you eat, you know, you're not breaking down a carb. And of course, people forget that vegetables are carbohydrates.
Yeah.
So it's very possible that you could be allergic to or sensitive to or intolerant to virtually anything, even stuff that's good for you. So you can have an intolerance to anything and develop...
Yeah, it's quite painful. It's usually right after.
Sure. Well, you know what? I would tell you that there's a product you can purchase over the counter at most pharmacies even called Beano.
Beano, okay.
Beano is very helpful for a lot of these problems. There's also a homeopathic product that I like to recommend called Carbo Veg, which is really, really helpful.
Carbo?
It's CARBO. VEG, Carbo Veg.
Where can I get that?
Virtually any of the health food stores. It's a homeopathic version of charcoal, and it works very, very well. Also, charcoal tablets work really well.
Oh, charcoal tablets.
So any of those things. But I'd start with the Beano. You can get that at any CVS or any kind of pharmacy out there. It's pretty easy to use and pretty effective.
So should I take it right before or after?
It comes, I believe, in different forms. I think there's drops. I think that some of them even have chewable caps now. It'll tell you. There's indications right on the side of the container. Whatever you do buy, we'll let you know.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for calling. All right, let's get to Lucille. Oh, actually, it's about that time. You might take the call? Okay. Lucille from Medford, welcome to 96.9 Boston Talks. Hello, Lucille.
Hi.
Hi, go ahead.
Am I with Dr. Manuka?
Yes, indeed you are.
Hi, I have a question about Manuka honey and healing for bed sores.
Yes.
What I don't know what strength to use.
Well, I'd go for the 16 plus. I think the key is that there are what are referred to as methyl-glyoxyl compounds. There's like 800 of them in the Manuka honey. Mm-hmm. What methyl-glyoxyls do is they strip the immunity of bacteria. So unfortunately, you get these little bed sores, and sometimes you'll get infected in there. And the Manuka honey is really helpful at breaking down some of those bacteria that may be collecting for your on your bed sores. Also, I think that there's a lot of healing agents in the honey as well. A lot of minerals in there, obviously. There's a lot of manganese, etc. So I would do the 16 plus. There's obviously a variety of different strengths, but 16 plus is my recommendation.
Okay, and do you just apply it topically and just leave it on with the bandage over it?
That is exactly correct. You got it.
Okay, I actually purchased the 12 plus.
That's fine.
Can I use that until I can get to the 16?
You betcha. In fact, that's likely sufficient. I would just go ahead and use the 12. It's not going to be that much different than the 16 plus.
Okay.
All right.
Do you apply it once a day, or just continually apply it, or how do you do that?
No, I would do it at least twice a day, beginning of the day, end of the day.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, Lucille, thanks for calling. Bye-bye. All right, I think it's about break time for us. And once again, this is the Natural Health Show, 617-822-1969, Verizon Wireless free call, pound 969. We'll be right back.
Now, back to the Natural Health Show, sponsored by Good Health Natural Foods in Quincy and Hanover.
In Boston and New England, 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless uses free call, pound 969. And let's get to Sue in Amherst. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talk. You're in the Natural Health Show.
Hi there. Thanks for taking my call.
Hey, thanks for calling.
My mom's 83. She is in cardiovascularly. She is in terrific shape. But she's starting to slip, and we have her doing all kinds of things like puzzles. Mentally slip. We have her do all kinds of things like puzzles and whatever. But is there any studies or anything that we could give her, any type of supplements? No, and she takes no medication at all. She's just an amazing health.
Now, for early Alzheimer's, you said yes. Your phone is breaking up a little bit. I think you said for early Alzheimer's.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I like to point to, there's a great study that I always liked a lot. I reported on it on New England Cable News and on Fox over the years. It was a 2005 study that was actually done by the Veterans Administration in conjunction with UCLA Medical Hospital. And they basically found over an extended period of time there was remarkable results with something called EGCG, which is epigallocatechin gallate, which is from green tea. And it's a really powerful agent that you can purchase pretty easily over the counter. They used the equivalent of 600 milligrams twice a day. And there's something called EGCG Max, which is 700 milligrams. So I'd recommend 2 of those a day. And that particular study also found the EGCG to be very effective in conjunction with DHA from fish oil. So I'd recommend fish oils in the form of DHA, just the isolated DHA. Yep. And I would say probably about 500 milligrams total, or 250 twice. And then the EGCG Max, 700 twice.
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Oh, and would that be for anybody who's for people who are just starting to...
Yeah, keep in mind here, we're not talking about these remarkably therapeutic doses or these obtuse supplements that are going to cause anybody any problems. Yeah. Again, one of them is from green tea. These are food-grade extracts. One is from fish and one is from green tea. So they're essentially a food-grade supplement, and both safe for prevention purposes as well as support purposes. But what I would say is, if it's for somebody that's looking to minimize the existing damage, if not reverse it, which again the study shows can be done, I would just find that the dose for prevention is always cut in half. So maybe you take half the dose just to prevent, and just be really careful about glycosylation, for example. Too much fat and too much fatty animal proteins taken with too much sugars in the diet. Right. So cut down on the fatty animal proteins and the sugars.
No, yeah, they're pretty good. They're bizarre.
Your diet's good shape. That's great.
Yeah, and my dad is too. They just together.
Wonderful.
He Yeah, he has mine. She has the cardiovascular. And
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thanks for calling. All right, bye-bye. Let's get to Linda from Burlington. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talks. You're in the Natural Health Show.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I have a question. I have a son who's 35 years old,
Yep.
and he has just been told that his triglycerides are 400, high cholesterol. And he had taken niacin and fish oil in an effort to reduce that. But apparently it hasn't been successful. And I wondered if there's anything that you could suggest diet-wise or supplement-wise that may help.
Yeah. Well, the first bit of advice that I have is that you remember that these are called supplements.
Yes.
And they're indeed designed to supplement nutrition. So I trust that his nutrition is really lean and low-fat and high vegetable and fruit and all that. Is that true?
I don't think that it is, to be honest.
Well, that's your starting point. So, again, it begins with what you eat. Mm-hmm. And we're going to have to be really careful about this notion of just eating improperly and then trying to make a pill to take a pill to make the difference. That's just not the way you want to do it. Right. You want to make sure that he cuts down on his saturated animal fats, eats a lot leaner protein, baked or broiled chicken, turkey, fish, beans, tofu, protein shakes. And then I think also make sure there's plenty of vegetables. Make sure you exchange a lot of your white flour products and white carbohydrates for brown rice and whole grain flour products. That's a starting point. And then again, I think supplements, sure, there's a lot of different supplements that I think could be really, really helpful. I don't think he picked the right ones.
Oh, okay. That's what the doctor recommended and did tell him that his liver was producing more cholesterol.
Yeah, well, that's because his insulin is too high. You know, there's a Dr. Michael Brown from MIT won 2 Nobel Prizes in medicine back in the mid '80s, and he proved to everybody through this remarkable work that he did that 80% of our cholesterol is self-produced by the liver, and that it's produced as a result of high concentrations of insulin. So insulin is all about sugar. So your son wants to be very careful about sugar consumption.
Excellent.
Catherine, you have some ideas.
Well, no, I support 100%, that he should, either, like we were talking to Mike before about doing a cleanse or, something like that. Maybe you can convince him to commit to maybe a month of a vegetarian diet.
That's great.
Something to really get those triglyceride levels down, because I think Mark is right that it is really, you have to get the diet correct first, and then you can add the supplements on top of it.
Sugars and alcohols are at the top of the list.
Yep.
Okay. I can pass that along to him. And do you recommend the Bronco Max cleanse at this point, or?
Yeah, I definitely would suggest that. And one of the things about cholesterol in the liver is that it also gets detoxed via phase 1 and phase 2 detox, from the liver. So, anything that you can do to help support his liver clearing a lot of these things is beneficial too.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed the show, and
thank
I
you so
will
much.
Pass that information along. You're very helpful.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
All right. And, I think, too, we want to kind of bring it on home here just for a minute.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're talking diet first. And
we're talking diet first. We're talking about diet first at a perfect time of year.
Right. And we started off the show by talking about, what the big focus of this holiday season is, is on food and diet. And, that we really do have to think about what we're putting in our mouths, because it's just not as pure as it used to be.
Well, I always say food breaks down into 3 categories: toxic, medicinal, or neutral.
Yep.
And if you're filling yourself up with the wrong kind of foods, unfortunately, toxins will develop. And then the ultimate objective of getting life force from food will go the other way. You'll lose life force from food, and that's not what it's all about.
Yeah, and so, and also, if we're buying organic, what we're, talking about with the foods that you had mentioned, about being, toxic and loaded with the BPAs, being conscious of how your food is packaged.
Absolutely.
Packaged in plastic. You never want to heat our food up in plastic. That's where they see these BPAs start to leach. One study showed that merely heating up water in a plastic bottle increased the BPA leaching by 55 times. So,
yeah, and of course the Dartmouth study 500,000 times in a microwave. So
right,
keep the plastics out of the microwave. Hey, this hour went by quickly. Catherine Foley from Jar Formula is a great friend of the program and a great friend of mine, and somebody who's really been solid here on the program each and every time she comes on. She brings great information. We thank you so much for it.
Oh, I'm glad to be here.
And, of course, new information. I have a new book coming out soon, about 4 weeks, and it's called Customized Healing. And it's, based on the idea that there's so many generic programs out there that say, hey, one size fits all. This is good for everybody. It doesn't work that way. And what I've really worked hard to do on this book is kind of break it down so that you can have an individual plan for nobody but you. So I've managed to do that on Customized Healing. And it's pre-orderable. Is that a word, pre-orderable?
Yes, that's amazing.
It's pre-orderable on Amazon.com. And, of course, I'll be on Fox 25 doing the Fox 25 morning show on Thanksgiving morning at 8:50.
We'll be looking for you.
And I'll be on there to talk about something related to Thanksgiving. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you anything else. And, of course, we'd like to make sure we thank 96.9 for 2 great years. And all the folks here will be missed. Mm-hmm. We really enjoyed the run here. Of course, stay tuned to Woody and Abby, Right Turn Radio. Until next Sunday at 8, this is Mark Mincola reminding you, please be wise, be aware, be well. Make it a healthy week. Good night. Make it a healthy